What's up, everyone? It's Dakota, and today we're going to be going over my 5 top reprints as of June 22nd, 2022. These are 5 cards that are printed in double masters that I'm absolutely excited for, that I think are going to be really good for the modern format as a whole, whether it's based on price or just availability. These are cards so far that I'm super excited about. But before I dive into them, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you have not already done so. I post modern videos, pioneer videos. Try to post between like 3 to 5 times a week. So if you're into that sort of thing and you want to see me talk about decks, talk about my favorite trends like the metagame, things like that, be sure to subscribe, ring the notification bell so you know when videos go live and all that fun, happy stuff. And with all that out of the way, let's kind of get into it. So the first few cards are cards that definitely need a reprint. They're absolutely 2 out of 3 are like by far like format staples, and a third one is like a staple of more like the tribal decks and stuff like that. And maybe you already know just from me saying that. So first one we have Force of Negation. Force of Negation, if it's not your turn, you can exile a blue card from your hand rather than to pay the spell's mana cost. Counter target non-creature spell if the spell is countered this way. Exile instead of putting it in owner's graveyard. It's like $1 million, and that's going to be what it's like for the other probably 4 cards. Honestly, uh, it's worth a lot of money. It's definitely going to be a chase rare in the set. Glad they didn't upshift this for any reason. But Force of Negation, very very good in like the control decks. Obviously, like Living End is playing this now as kind of ways to interact with the more counter decks when they try to go off at instant speed. And this card I think is like $70-$80 or something like that, like something really crazy. So the fact that this card is going to get a reprint in Double Masters, a set that's like relatively big, but also having 2 rares in each pack, and I would assume having different variants of it as well, which I think is probably going to do more of an impact than just getting reprinted. That this card should go down in price and is definitely going to be worth picking up if you can get it for like 30-40 bucks. The next one is probably a card that should be banned in Modern, in all honesty, but as long as it's going to be legal, I would definitely advise picking up some copies and playing them as well. We have Ren and 6. Red green, 3 loyalty planeswalker. Uh, with +1, return up to 1 target land from your graveyard to your hand. -1 deals 1 damage to any target. -7 you get a Monolith instants and sorceries in your graveyard. Have retrace. So we all know that Ren 6 is not played because his emblem is just like broken, overpowered, whatever. Even though with like certain cards, like that emblem is very deadly. It's the fact that it facilitates so many 3, 4, and even 5 color decks. I mean, just getting to play fetch lands and triomes with now the full set of triomes being legal in Modern and just even being printed in general. This lets you fetch up the Jeskai Triome on like turn 1, and then you can even go get like a basic land or like a shock land. Obviously, you'd have at least access to all 5 colors in some capacity, and then Ren 6 just gets to pick up the fetch land, and every turn this just stays on, it guarantees you a land drop, which doesn't seem very powerful, but when in conjunction with like fetch lands, Ren 6 can really just take over a game in that way, where like you're less likely to draw spells even in or less likely to draw lands even in a small like percentage, just getting to fetch out a land every turn. Obviously it has different synergies and stuff with like Ghost Quarter and things like that in other decks, but mainly being a big culprit in like the 4 color and 5 color like elemental or like control decks and things like that. Even in Jund, just giving it like really good mana and giving it some ability to play those like 3 and 4 drops and higher numbers in their deck, just because Ren and 6 offers that much to need to be answered, and then also guaranteeing your land drops, stuff like that. But overall, very good reprint for the format, staying at Mythic, which obviously I would have loved to see it at Rare just to watch it really, really tank the price. But this is fine. I think it's fair to have Ren and 6 as a Mythic. The next one uh, is another one that was like pretty popular in the more tribal decks. Really doesn't see too much play now, but definitely still a card that's worth reprinting and things like that. And that's going to be Cavern of Souls. Cavern of Souls makes you choose a creature type when it enters the battlefield, and it can add a colorless mana or it can add a mana of any color, and it can cast those creature spells, and the spells can't be countered. The can't be countered part being very important because of the control decks and things like that. Um, really just really good at fixing mana, especially if you're just a multicolored like creature deck. Spells can't be countered, yeah, is great, but like when you're just able to fix your mana in this sort of way and really kind of get paid off for sticking to like one tribe and stuff like that, Cavern of Souls does it better than really anybody else, and definitely for more expensive too. Um, being probably like $100 card at this point. I think it was like 70 or $80. There was like a time where like I wanted to play goblins just because I thought it'd be sweet, and it played like I think a playset of Cavern of Souls, and Cavern of Souls made the deck like $400 just on its own. So that's disgusting. But Cavern of Souls definitely needs a reprint. Very good reprint. Sucks that it's still a mythic. Another card. This card definitely should have been a rare. Like just print this at rare, please. But definitely, Double Masters 2022 is not the day for this card to see a rare printing. Season and Mythic, price wise, it probably deserves it. And everything else, it should be a rare. Honestly, just printed it uncommon, really just tanked that price. The next one is a card that kind of saw like jumped up and saw a lot of play. Sees a little less play, but I still think is relatively expensive and is really just kind of a good card in its own right for the modern. It's Seasoned Pyromancer. Seasoned Pyromancer is a double red and one for a 2/2. When it enters the battlefield, you discard 2 cards and draw 2 cards. For each non-land card discard this way, you make a 1/1, and you can pay 3 of any and double red and exile it from your graveyard to create 2/1/1 tokens. So, interesting to note with this card, when it enters the battlefield, if you are empty-handed, you just get to draw 2 cards. You obviously don't get to make the tokens, but it's just basically straight up draw 2 cards, which is really good. Obviously, benefits you if you discard non-land cards, which you could just pitch cards that are not good in the matchup, like you're playing against control. Get rid of like some of your like removal spells, like if you're more of a Jund, like red black, like mid-rangey style deck. You can get rid of like some of your creature spells if you're playing against like a more removal heavy deck and things like that. There's definitely some upside to it, and even if you like pitch lands, it's kind of whatever because again, you're just getting to draw 2 cards. Um, Definitely a really good card. Mythic, I don't know how I feel about that. Just because it isn't really like a super expensive card, and it's not even really like a card, at least for modern purposes, that is really like to me like I want to go out and get this card, or I want to play a deck that plays this card. It definitely does something really powerful. I don't think it deserves the upshift necessarily. I think it's an upshift. Of course, it won't tell me. Pretty sure it's an upshift. I don't like it personally, but whatever. Like Season Pyromancer, still a really good card. Would not be unhappy if I opened it in this set, but definitely better mythics as we just like went over with the previous two. So Season Pyromancer, really cool. Kind of excited for that one in modern. Finally is this guy, Surgical Extraction. A Phyrexian Black, which means you can pay a 1 black mana or 2 life. You choose a target card in your graveyard than basic land. You search its owner's library, graveyard, hand, and library for any number of the same name. As that card, exile them, and then that player shuffles their library. Funny enough, this is like the first like viral video that I had was just talking about surgical extraction. Uh, Kind of crazy, honestly, because this card uh, has gotten better in the format and then slowly gotten worse. Now just kind of like an okay like graveyard option. Still, I think decently expensive. I want to say still at least like in the $20-$30 range. Very, very, very efficient for what it does. Um, just again, like a pretty good card, like a pretty good answer to like graveyard hate, especially like this at instant speed can take out a lot of things. If your opponent tries to like go off at instant speed or something like that with like some prize amalgams and things like that from like the dredge deck, or if they're trying to like living end, you can definitely catch them off guard with something like this. Interesting tricks to like get information from your opponent. This card does a lot. just for a very basic like text box of like what a card like Surgical Extraction would do. So definitely some sweet things that can be done with it. Probably not like the most exciting like reprint, but for someone like me and is pretty nostalgic about like surgical extraction, like the days of like Death Shadow and things like that. Really nice card, and I'm really a big fan of this. So that's my that's my take on so far the five favorite like modern reprints for the format. Hopefully there's more of them. There's a lot of good commander cards in here. You have like the Eldrazi Titan. You have like Path to Exile and Uncommon is still pretty good. You have cards like Domestication, Disciple of the Ring is pretty interesting. Mana Drain and Mythic, but not a format staple of Modern because it's not legal. Bitter Blossom, which is a card that's like super expensive, but like really never sees play. Probably should, but just never does. Damnation, pretty cool, but not really played as much. Imperial Seal, another very good one, but not modern legal, and really, I don't even think like legacy legal either. But it's just not that good considering it's a vampiric tutor at sorcery speed. But it is a very, very, very expensive card if you try to get original printing or like a judge promo. So definitely really cool. And that's honestly probably about it. Yeah, that's really it. There's some other cool cards like Allosaurus Shepherd, but that's kind of like my take on Double Masters so far. I think Double Masters is like a pretty good set so far. A lot of good cards for Modern, a lot of good cards for like Pioneer and like the more casual audience and stuff like that, which is probably what this product I would say is definitely generally marketed towards too. But who knows? Um, but anyway, that's going to be it for this video. That's my overview of like my five favorite modern cards being printed in the format. If you enjoyed it, or if there's any cards that come out even after this video that was dated June 22nd, and there's any other modern cards that you are excited to see in the set, be sure to leave a like on the video. Comment down below if there's any other modern cards that you either want to see printed in the format or see printed in Double Masters, any cards that maybe were printed in Double Masters that you're excited for. I would love to hear those in the comments. And yeah, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will hope to see you all in the next video.